Ontario SP50 kicking off the night. Duracoated by missionspeccamo.com. Yo. Okay guys, remember we talked about those sharp edges, right? Here they come. Takes a little bit of work to get into them though. Still say a carbon steel blade like this one should be able to withstand smacking it like this in harsh conditions. This is when you want your knife too. So I should put a platform under this. See that, fellas? You know, I'm notching it a little bit. Ontario Spec-Plus Gen 2 SP50. Great knife. The whole Gen 2 line is pretty much awesome. Duracoated by missionspeccamo.com. I don't know, dude. I can't get the coating to come off yet. I'm gonna keep trying though. Keep trying. Big steel, huge value. TMPers, get your wallet ready if you like large survival knives. Here comes a Nutnfancy review on the outstanding Ontario Spec-Plus Gen 2 SP50. That is SP50. Testing complete in the Nutnfancy project, and yet you will probably see it on camera as the years go on because I absolutely love the blade. I am really digging the Gen 2 lineup. Love it. I said as much in my first review in the line, the SP46 posted June 2010. I'll make reference to that video as I go along because that's some information that I'm not going to duplicate here. Love that blade. Compact backpacking blade. This one's bigger, beefier, more serious. Love it. 8 7/8 inch blade. So that, yes, is a large survival knife. Ready to do your bidding in the great out of doors. I'm sorry I didn't post this vid earlier. Circumstances conspired against me, and I didn't want to post a review without thoroughly testing it. I'm not going to say I always will do that with a blade. I just don't have the resources, the time. I do what I can. I do the best I can. I won't post a review though unless I feel the information is very solid. Like I've done with the Ontario knives, at least to this point. Everything I'm going to tell you is proven firsthand by me. I'll roll some video in if I haven't already in this review. Getting going. Oh, it feels so good. Philosophy of use on the SP50. Before I cranked this video out, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to roll in a POU anymore on these large fixed blade survival knives. I'm just going to break it out into its own video. So there it is, right there. Check it out if you're interested. If you're not interested, cool. But I think if you're a knife guy, you will find it interesting. Because I talk very detailed philosophies on the SP50 and knives like it in a wilderness woodsworking tool, firecraft, sheltercraft, and also as a defensive / tactical knife. Talked about in that video. I'm not going to duplicate it here, and I really don't have much to add in POU for the SP50. Very capable woods blade. Very capable. Jumping down to quality. Man, it feels so good to skip over that because that takes a lot of time. POU does. Quality and blade design kind of have to roll together, and here's why. If we go back, what was it, 2008, I reviewed a predecessor, the also awesome Ontario SP5. Do you guys remember that video? This one's new out of box. I have one that I've thumped on exceedingly around here somewhere. I still love this knife. Great knife. 1095 steel. Yeah, I'm wearing gloves. If you don't like it, sorry. Don't watch. Great steel. Great knife. I will say probably not as capable as the SP50. Not probably. It isn't. And getting to quality, definitely not as high a quality as SP50. That's because extreme care and attention to detail was employed in the creation of the Gen 2 lineup by Mr. Dan Maragni. Talked about him again in the SP46 review, annotated. Go look at it because I have a long philosophy slash discussion about what he did with these knives. I'm going to summarize it here. I'm not going to replicate all of it. Amazing attention to detail again in the creation of these blades in the Ontario Gen 2 lineup. Especially when you consider the value, i.e. price, of these blades, because you would not expect to find this level of quality. 5160 steel. And by the way, Dan Maragni, I learned through our TMP friend, Mr. Two Home Bill, MCG. Annotated there in the upper right, TMPer. Big experienced blade guy. He knows Dan going way back. I guess Dan Maragni, I was supposed to hook up with him, by the way, at SHOT 2011. Sorry, Dan, I wasn't able to make that happen. I was just maxed. Crazy. But Dan and Bill, I guess, go way back. Dan used to work for Cold Steel. And Bill said in a comment beneath the SP46 review, you can go look it up, that Dan Maragni was responsible for the creation of the then very heralded and well formulated carbon 5 steel at Cold Steel. And having thumped on carbon 5 in the Recon Scout and Trailmaster exceedingly, I will tell you that's a good steel. And he says that Lynn Thompson used to call Mr. Maragni his secret weapon. Well, he bailed on Cold Steel, hired by Ontario, and he was tasked with revamping, revitalizing the Gen 2 lineup. And again, like I said in the previous review, he's doing an awesome job, as evidenced by this blade. Getting back to the steel, 5160 steel. Done a lot of special stuff that impresses me as a blade reviewer. First off, it's a very special 5160, tempered properly, specific grind geometries for both. You can't. This one's Duracoated, by the way. Let me show you one that's not. That's Duracoated by our friends, missionspeccamo.com. And this has been the test blade, because I was testing that coating all the way through, and you can see it has worn very well. Even dug with it. Shut up. Yep, dug with it to see if it'd peel off. Bead blasted prior to coating. Some guys say, well, Duracoat sucks. No, it doesn't. If you prep it right and do it right, this is what you can expect. All the testing you see in video was done with this knife after Duracoating. Again, that's one reason the delay in the review. I wanted to do it, knock out 2 reviews at once. Let's get one that's uncoated. Here comes an SP50 in virgin form. This is as it comes from the box. Yes, got 2. Look how beautiful that edge is. Specific edge geometry. Primary and secondary bevel. Very well done. He taught the sharpeners in Ontario exactly how he wanted it done. I'm talking Dan Maragni here. Vacuum stress relieved steel. Careful industrial hardening. I already kind of mentioned that. And he talks in very technical terms exactly how that's done. The racks at which he used to make sure that he doesn't induce any warpage into the blade. Okay? Very straight. Water jet cut, not laser cut. So again, no heat is introduced to the steel, changing its properties. Talk about attention to detail. That is laser imprinted, not stamped like the old SP or the Gen 1s were. Like this, which can induce stress into the blade. 5160 steel, if it's done right, I am a believer. Hallelujah. Big believer. Love it. Do I like it better than 1095? I'm still learning. I like them about equally the same, and that's if they're done correctly. Heat treat is critical. The edge geometries, in my opinion, are critical, and this is razor sharp out of box. After that was Duracoated, by the way, it was still razor sharp. That's why you don't see a redo of the secondary bevel there. You just don't, because it's not needed, especially for a woods blade. I'll thump it and then resharpen it. Look how thick that blade is. Nice. Thick old blade, but it's not too thick. And the nice thing about the SP50, I'm kind of detouring here, is that it strikes a balance of large woods blade, but not too large, not too heavy. Overall weight, 23 ounces. And that's with the sheath, which I'll show you here in a sec. 16.6 ounces for the knife itself, which is pretty lightweight for such a large slab of steel. But the quality on it, I kind of jumped ahead, is outstanding. Getting to the blade shape itself, classic full flat grind. What's not to like about that? Strong tip for hammering. Didn't break even in cold weather. Here in the Nutnfancy project, getting pounded on with batons as it did its job up there in the high mountains. Love the blade. Absolutely love this blade. It's classic. I've said it in a lot of other reviews. This one strikes the same thing. Quality levels superb. There are a couple misses. We're going to consider the sheath, which is my understanding, as I'll talk about here in a sec, getting upgraded. Weight talked about, balance and feel. Excellent. I don't think it can be improved, honestly. I really don't. It is just superb. Love the balance and feel. Not too heavy for the blade, a blade of this size. A bottom guard, I'm going to jump to the handle now. Kraton Handle. Do you love it? Do you hate it? I actually don't mind Kraton. It absorbs shock, and in batoning I noticed no vibration really was transmitted to the user. And there's some other blades we've used throughout the years. Lots is transmitted. I didn't see it. Is it like perfect? No, I mean Kraton, like I've said in some other reviews, it will get a little bit slippery when wet. Tested, by the way, in snow, rain here in TMP. The guard is what it is. This is more of a wilderness blade, so you have, you know, a lower guard, nothing on the top, no jimping, no thumb ramp. I don't really care, because to me it's a wilderness blade, and I don't know for a blade this size it's mandatory. Don't get me wrong, if I had it I'd be more excited, but not horrible. There's your lanyard hole, totally needed, by the way. This is the new one, not used, for safety. And then the handle does envelop your hand like that. Okay, where's my talking points? Can't even see them. I think the handle is very doable. And by the way, we're talking a price point here. If guys criticize the handle, go, "Oh, I hate Kraton, I want my Carta." Roger that. Add on $75 sometimes, depending on where it's made. You know. Let's talk about the sheath. It's not horrible. It is an improvement over past sheaths. Kind of like, I don't know, the Marine Raider. Circa 2008 review here in TMP. Still highly recommended. Love this knife. Doesn't have the quality levels we've been discussing. SP10. Marine Raider. Love that knife. Look at the sheath, though. Sucks. Sucks. This is an improvement. This is an SP50 sheath. It's all synthetic. There's no leather in it. It's MOLLE capable. Love that. It's lightweight. Has a thermoplastic liner in it, which, as we have come to see, is too loose. And that's a safety consideration, because if you don't use the security strap of your SP50, it can come sliding out when you're carrying around camp. You just might go try to catch it, grab the blade like I've talked about before, and slice your fingers. Easy enough to fix. I've talked about this too. Pull that thermoplastic liner out. Use your heat gun. Carefully warm it up until it's pliable. Push it together till it has some pinch to it, so it will retain your SP50. Glue it back in with like shoe goop or whatever you want to use. Done. Has a pocket here for another knife, sharpening stone, and no, I never use those, ever. The sheath could be a lot worse though. No drainage in the bottom, by the way. And this one I believe is adequately sized, unlike the SP46. Look at that, it's almost ideal. So it's not too long for the blade, like they've done with some other knives in the series just to save costs. The retention strap blows. Not because it's poorly designed. It actually uses a very good quality nylon. There are different levels of quality of nylon. This one's awesome, but it has Velcro. Should have a military grade snap on there. Found in snowy conditions, it packs with snow, hard to retain, and it wears out. Okay, I'm not a big fan. That should never be found. I mean, if you want to use a secondary closure, have a snap, then Velcro, go ahead. But have a military snap on there. Kind of like this SRK from Cold Steel. Okay, that's done right. Quick attach capability, not really. I guess you could, you know, with your MOLLE strap, unsnap it and thread it through your belt. That's doable, but there's your dedicated belt loop right there. And then if you're jumping with it, like paratroop style, you can really lash that blade on. There's my homemade hollowed out 550 cord tan variety that I use as a safety lanyard. Very simple. Works great. All you gotta do is just keep it from flying out of your hands. What a great knife, though. Understand, though, of course, I'll believe it when I see it, the sheaths are supposedly getting redone at Ontario by Dan Maragni. So if they put a plastic sheath like the Conceal X variety from his ex-employer, Cold Steel, big win. Put this sheath at this knife, same attachment method. Speaking of the devil, there's your Velcro and snap. There's just like Cold Steel did. Have no issues with that at all. I like it. Nice. I don't mind that sheath. I would like to still have a MOLLE capability. Kind of, although I highly doubt I would ever be porting this knife around on my MOLLE vest. Too big, too heavy. Yeah. Let's see, competitive options. I've talked about a few already. SP5, SP10. Well, that's the other SP50. K-Bar Heavy Bowie. Still out there, I think. Great knife. Love it. About 21 ounces overall carry weight. Crappy sheath. Good steel. 1095. Works great for me. Love it. Chops well. Probably in the ballpark of value. By the way, this is wearing an awesome Kydex sheath from Chestnut Ridge Knife Company. Love it. This is the Ontario Artic 2. Check it. Love it. Great blade. Probably cuts better, chops better than the SP50. It has to. It's bigger. It's just a bigger blade. But look which one's thicker. Ooh. SP50 taking the gold. Thickness, by the way, is a very important attribute for your wilderness blade. There's my wilderness gloves, by the way, reciting in the background. That's why they're there. Always use them for safety. I love the thick blades, though. They're going to split better. They're stronger, generally speaking, and they transmit less vibration to your hand, in my experience. Yours may differ. But this is another competitive option right here. This Artic 2. Love the SP50 though, and it's lighter. 31 ounces is Artic. SP50 again. Total weight 23 ounces with current sheath. Subject to change. Probably forgetting some crap. Two kinds of cool. It's a user knife. The SP50 is. It's a knife. Like I said in my philosophy of use video, you go out and you want to minimize calorie expense. You want to get your work done. You're time limited. You just don't want to fool around. SP50 is a good compromise knife. But some people may be surprised I say compromise because it's not the biggest knife that I've reviewed. It's getting close. It's not though. Remember, the biggest, best chopper is going to be the one that's going to be the thickest and the heaviest. The downside is have fun carrying it up in the backcountry. The SP50 takes a stance a little bit below that. So it's more portable. Remember the weight I told you. And yet it's probably 90% as capable. In chopping, there's going to be other knives that chop better. Cold Steel Gurkha Kukri will dominate this knife in chopping. Dominate it. But again, it's a different geometry. It's thicker. It's heavier. It has a different angle for the swing. This is an overall using knife. It batons well, chops well. You can choke up on it and do detail work if you need to. Totally doable. Price is amazing. Around $80, maybe more, maybe less, depending where you go. Look in the upper right, that's where I recommend to go get your Ontario SP50. But for that money, the quality you're getting on the redo for the SP50 from Dan Maragni and Company, pretty amazing. 5160 steel done right with careful manufacturing, good handle, decent sheath, and it's not overly heavy. It will rust on you. 5160 is a carbon steel, not a stainless steel, but I love my carbon steels. They sharpen easily and they keep an edge. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that. It keeps an edge very, very well. Again, bringing in the Duracoated one. This was the one, the test bed here in the Nutnfancy project. I have not sharpened this knife. And it's still, I wouldn't say it's hair shaving sharp, but it's sharp enough to cut paper readily. And that's after batoning. You can see it's still wearing just the fine edge from Duracoat. I just want to see how it would do. It's not a miracle steel, don't get me wrong. Any steel will dull eventually. It's pretty awesome though. And others report that their SP50s have had equal abuse with no damage whatsoever. I'm talking batoning, chopping, cutting. SP50, huge win for the money. It's going to go into the Hall of Fame blades here in the Nutnfancy project. Ontario, great job giving Dan Maragni latitude to make a knife of this quality. Just square that sheath away, and then we're talking gold, bringing home the gold. That's Nutnfancy's review. See ya.